Hi, I'm going to be reading Will I Be Human? It's a short story. Thanks to my lovely wife Lisa for coming up with the title. It's a science fiction kind of thing, post apocalyptic, I guess. It is my first attempt at something with a they instead of a he or a she as the main character. Hopefully, I did them justice. Ash hadn't eaten in 2 weeks, not since they found a dead rat in a puddle, and even though they still said their prayers every night when they went to bed, they had begun to hope that they really would just die before they woke. The good news was it wouldn't be much longer before that wish came true. They couldn't last. Still, they should try to get food at least one more time. Their mother would be disappointed if they gave up. They crawled from their hideaway underneath the remains of some kind of army truck. The street looked clear, but they had to make sure there wasn't anyone else around. They hadn't seen anyone in weeks, and thought maybe they were the last human alive. But if there was someone, they would be hungry too, and might be willing to do something desperate for food. To be honest, Ash wasn't sure they wouldn't do something like that themselves given half a chance. Cannibalism used to be a choice they would never consider. But now, the idea of a meal wasn't something they were sure they would turn down, no matter what or who it was before it became food. Ash approached the machine slowly enough that they hoped it would not perceive them as a threat. It had dents and cracks along its sides, battle scars from other humans that couldn't pass the test and weren't willing to take no for an answer. The machine was fully stocked with candy, dried fruits and meats, and even some sandwiches. Ash's mouth watered, and they gently touched the buttons. A7, a ham sandwich. They weren't sure this was the best option for survival. The candy had more calories, but they could see mustard oozing out between the bread. They remembered one time their mother made them a sandwich with mustard like that, and they hoped this one would be as good. Pushing the button brought the machine to life. Cartoon characters quickly danced across the screen that made up the entire front. A carnival's worth of bells and sirens erupted from inside, and two powerful guns burst from its sides and pointed directly at Ash. The machine did not open fire, which meant it did not see Ash as a threat. Ash had never seen a machine kill a human, but there were stories, and Ash didn't like the idea of ending up as a cautionary tale. "Hello," the machine's mechanical voice spit out, printing anything it said in a dozen languages across the screen. "Hello," Ash replied. Their voice sounded like worn sandpaper. "Are you a robot?" came the first question. "Direct." The test had not started out so direct in a long time. Maybe this was a sign that the machines had made the questions easier, like they used to be. "No," Ash replied. The screen swirled and changed to a happy blue background with a large yellow check mark. It had accepted the first question. "Please identify the following characters." The check mark was replaced with swirling text. Individual characters danced, twisted, and dodged in front of one another, making them hard to identify. Ash stared deeply, knowing they were only given one chance to get it right. Failure would lock them out of all machines for 24 hours. Capital X, lowercase I, lowercase d, epsilon, xia, and t. The checkmark returned. Ash got it right. They felt a tingle of excitement which made their stomachs start to growl in the hopes that they might eat. Only one more question. The checkmark was replaced with a grid containing 9 images, some photographs, some realistic paintings, others surrealistic images. Please indicate all the images which contain a house. 2 of the images obviously had houses, and Ash selected them. It seemed unlikely there would only be 2 out of 9 images, but Ash could not see any more. Just before they selected OK, they caught their mistake. In the background of the central photograph were 3 trees. In the center one, just barely visible, was a birdhouse. Ash selected it and hit the button to confirm before they began to doubt themselves. They were terrified that they were wrong, but also knew that they would never be completely certain they were right. The check mark returned, confirming that they were correct. Ash would have danced if they had the strength. Their mouth began to water, and they could almost taste the mustard already. The check mark faded, and Ash's heart sank. The screen was replaced with text that read, "What is your favorite color?" Ash shook as the blood drained from their face. The third test was supposed to be the last test. They wanted to scream that it wasn't fair, but if they said a word, the machine would take it as an answer, and they would get nothing. They wanted to kick the machine as hard as they could, but that would be interpreted as an attempt to steal and would authorize the use of deadly force. More than anything, though, they wanted to eat. So before anything self-destructed could burst out of them, their hunger grabbed their anger by the neck and forced it back to wallow with fear and pain and all the other feelings that were of no use right now. Blue. My favorite color is blue. Blue like the sky or blue like the ocean? The machine asked. Hope drained out of Ash, running down her face and out of her fingertips to sink into the rubble that lay in piles all throughout the world. How could they know the answer to that? Was there even an answer? They stared at the sky. The day was clear, and the sky seemed like it went on forever. Ash had not really looked for beauty in so long that they had forgotten how beautiful the sky could be. They sat very still and spoke very softly. Without food, they did not believe they would last until tomorrow, so these were probably their last words. When I was small, very small, I would play outside. I had friends that were also small like me, and we would run and laugh and play games. I was happy then, and I cannot remember being that happy in so long. We would play until my mother would come out and call all of the children together and give each of us a popsicle. My favorite was blue, and Mother would always save a blue one for me. My favorite color is the blue of that popsicle. Ash dropped to their knees and began to cry. They looked at their hands, and the tears made streaks through the dirt caked on their fingers. They were ready to die, but they didn't want to die with dirty hands. Their mother would not approve. The machine began to make a grinding noise. Ash looked up to see a ham sandwich being corkscrewed forward and happy letters on the front of the machine. Humanity confirmed. Fireworks and rainbows, singing and dancing, joy of the most tangible quality erupted from Ash's soul. Weak as they were, they clawed at the opening and waited for the sandwich to drop. The sandwich reached the end of the corkscrew and tipped forward against the glass and stopped, stuck in place. Despair, fury, hunger, they all fought each other to decide which feeling was at the front of Ash's brain. Their muscles tightened as they prepared for an attack against the machine. It would be suicide, but they did not care. This injustice had to be met with violence. Just before their world came to an end, in a hail of gunfire, Ash stopped. They froze and watched. Their rage settled gently away. The violence never happened. Ash looked at the machine as the happy letters changed to read error, and the corkscrew that pushed the ham sandwich kept on turning until it pushed a second ham sandwich forward to dislodge the first, and kept going until 2 sandwiches dropped into the bin at the base of the machine. Ash was afraid that taking both sandwiches would be seen as theft by the machine, but the part of their brain where those thoughts were issued was much too slow. Before they even knew what had happened, they had grabbed both sandwiches. The machine did not move. The guns retreated back into their cases, and the words, "Thank you, have a nice day," scrolled across the screen. Ash clutched the bounty close to their chest and scurried away in case anyone was watching. Only when they were safe did they stop and open the first sandwich. The plastic peeled back and the smell wafted out. Yeast and flour and ham and mustard. They wanted to stop and savor it, but they were too hungry and wolfed it down. Their stomach twitched as it worked to remember how to digest. Ash let it settle for a few minutes before they began to eat the second sandwich. There was no one around, so Ash stared at the horizon and imagined that their mother might come out with a blue popsicle for dessert. Thank you.